Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us. Of course, today I'm your host of the day. My name is Martha Inyuma, and today we have an amazing guest with us. He's an advocate of the locals, Ken Ashimosi. But before we go on with the discussions of the day, we can start with a word of prayer. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I want to thank you. I want to give you all the glory and honor for enabling us to see yet another day, for giving us an opportunity, O Lord, to share our experiences, to share our learnings, to share our thoughts, O Lord, and even be able to learn in this investment journey, O my Father. Today, as we start this session, I pray that you may walk with us, that every person that has taken time to join in, O Lord, I pray that you may bless them with knowledge, that may guide them to make better decisions when investing, O Lord. I bless you for the Sevo behind this event. I bless you for the Sevo out there. I bless you for the residents, for all the Sevo out there, O Lord. Guide them, O my Father. We ask of you that you may reign in our lives, that you may increase in us as we decrease in ourselves, and guide us throughout the discussion. It is in the mighty name of Jesus Christ I do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. We're live on all our social media handles at sevo.ke. I have seen very, very many people have already tuned in. This is Investing Back Home Session 2. We did the last session last year, and there was a lot of demand for us to just come back again. And today we decided to have someone who's very special to us to just come and talk to us through the due diligence process. Maybe I can just read a few comments online. Thank you for those who are, commenting. We want to make this session as interactive as possible. Share with us where you're tuning in from. Let us know how your day has been, of course, and what you're expecting today. I can see on YouTube, I've said we are live on YouTube at sevo.ke. I've seen Samrak watching from Massachusetts. Kizungu, vane, Kizungu. Thank you so much, Samrak. If you know Samrak, he's a very great influencer in the diaspora. Thank you for joining us. I can see Irene Gital tuned in, America Fire Flames. If you know or you've heard of Sevo, we're very passionate about fire, and our fire ile motto, the financial independence, retire early, and that's why we're here today. I can see Christina Gunda. Christina Gunda is one of our investors. Thank you, Christine, for tuning in. She's saying watching. I can see Mary Achero. Mary Achero is also one of us. She's our investor. On fire. I can see Kilemi Isaac as well on fire. I can see Patrice Opera tuning in from London, UK. Thank you so much, Patrice. I can see Leonard Charo, Baba Yao. So Leonard Charo, he's saying he's on fire. I can see Christine Smith, she's saying waiting, Dublin, Ireland. Thank you so much for all who are joining us from the diaspora. I think in Kenya, we are live at 6 p.m. Kenyan time. There it could be around 10 a.m. if you're in the EST. I can see Christina Guna tuning in from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much, Christine. I can see Jane say she's waving. I hope you'll get a bit of information from today's session. I can see on Facebook, again, we are live on Facebook at sevo.ke. I can see Anne Juguna. She's saying hi. Thank you so much, Anne. I've seen so many people have joined the live on Instagram as well at sevo.ke. So today we're going to talk about due diligence. And this was brought about by the topic we did last year. We did the first Investing Back Home in December, around the 2nd of December. And so today we invited a very special guest. His name is Ken Ashimosi. Maybe you can tell us more about yourself.
My name is Ken Ashimosi, as Martha has introduced. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. My area of specialty is property law, and I've been doing it for the last 10 years. And I'm excited to be on this show. So I'm happy to answer all your questions about due diligence and any other matter with regards to real estate.
Yeah. Maybe humility. Ken is also a partner at Mark and Partners Advocates Company. I think for all our investors, once in a while you've seen somewhere Mark and Partners, this is Mark.
Yeah. So sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I'm also the team leader at Mark and Partners Associate Advocates. We have a team of advocates that we work with. I'm sure most of your investors interact with them on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to serve you guys, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you so much, Ken. I think, of course, we have questions aligned out for Ken, following the discussion we just had last time. But of course, please share your questions, what you'd like to know about due diligence. I think for us at Sevo, we're very passionate at enabling you achieve financial independence, but we want to make it quite transparent, enabling you to actually get to a point where you honestly understand what you're getting yourself into, and then now you can make an informed decision. And of course, if you have interacted with Sevo before, we try to make our services end to end, and that's why we work with Ken. So in such a way that when you come into Sevo, you don't need to look for an outsourced lawyer to do your processes and up all the way up to the ownership of the apartment, or even from the property management. So we do end to end. We ensure that we give you an end to end service that will just give you an easier time to invest. Yeah. And so even before, of course, please keep sharing your comments on our social media channels. If you're flexible with Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, we're live on all our channels at sevo.ke. And maybe to just have touch points on what we were, last time we really didn't focus on due diligence as a topic on its own. It was just like a brief through. And there were a number of questions, especially from diaspora, from ownership, to just knowing what you're getting yourself into. And last time we just touched on, knowing who are the people behind the business, understanding the property, if you're doing real estate, understanding what you're investing in, and who are these people, what have they done, where are their offices, who are the owners of the company, and due diligence just allows you to make a more informed decision. Yeah. But there's so much more beyond, the face. So, okay, you've come to the office, you've seen the owners, you've seen the project. What more could one do?
I think from the word go, when you want to invest in any property, you need to know that the basic requirements, even before meeting the owners and getting to know how the developer or the development is supposed to be structured. I always advise most of my clients, even friends, that whenever you're engaging anyone, not just Sevo, but yes, anyone, if you want to purchase a property out there, ensure that you have the proper professional to guide you through the process. So due diligence is a complex process, and you need a professional to guide you. So it's important for you to know if you're buying an apartment, for the sake of Sevo, I can use that as an example. You need to understand the land that this apartment is being erected on, who owns it. And you can only find out that if you get a copy of the title deed and give it to a professional to do the search for you. Because you can go to the lands office, anyone can walk through to the lands office, get a search, but you cannot interpret it. So if you get the services of an advocate, they can get you the search. Then the advocate, I think the most important thing I also need to mention, that the advocate you engage should be someone who understands property, because not all advocates are real estate advocates. I can speak for myself. I'm not, if you are arrested and you call me, I'm not a criminal lawyer. So I will not be of so much help. But if you get someone who understands criminal law, they will be better placed to represent you. Yes. I can represent you, but I'll be second guessing myself. So you need to get a professional, an advocate who understands that area of law. So due diligence then entails conducting a search at the Ministry of Lands on the title deed. It entails going further to find out this parcel of land. I have the title deed. Yes, I've done the search, but is it really on the map? Because all properties in Kenya are on the map. So you need to go further and get a survey map from the Survey of Kenya. And depending on where the property is located, you will get these survey maps at every registry in Kenya. So all the 47 counties, they have district survey maps where every parcel has been indexed on the map. So with that, at least it gives you the comfort that this property is duly registered, it's in the government records. Now, if you've conducted the search and you found Ken is the owner of the property, now can I meet this Ken and know how it looks like? Mm-hmm. So for purposes of, if you're engaging a company, if it's Sevo, the next step then you should find out who is behind the face of Sevo. So you will request for a copy of the certificate of incorporation from the developer, or if it's an individual, then get their copy of ID. so that you can try and confirm indeed the registered owner on the title deed is the same owner on the ID, and if it's a company, the name should correspond with the name of on the certificate of incorporation. Then go beyond that by conducting a search at the company registry to find out who are the owners behind this company, who are the shareholders, who are the directors. So with that information, you'll have the comfort to engage further. If anything is amiss, if I tell you I'm the one of Sevo, and you do a search and find out Sevo belongs to another person, then that is a red flag already.
Yes,
if you do a search at the Ministry of Lands and the search confirms that this property is not there, then that is a red flag.
Yes.
If you do a search at the Survey of Kenya and you cannot find the property on the map, and that is another red flag. You need to ensure that all these things are in place so that at least you have the comfort as an investor to invest in, if you're buying an apartment, if you're buying a parcel of land, you have that comfort to proceed now to the next step and now engage the owner to understand the terms and conditions of the sale.
Yes. So, and I think, and you've actually said it, Ken, the due diligence process really takes a lot of time, especially if you're not very familiar with it and you're just choosing someone. So you're begging on a third party to, end the process. And very many people honestly skip that bit, which is actually very important. But unfortunately, very many people skip that bit, or you might find you've seen the bare minimum. You've seen, okay, the land is under sub. That's enough for me. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's a very important, process. Yeah. But then yesterday, and I really appreciate everyone who, we were marketing this event to, and they gave feedback of just the experiences and what they've gone through. And I was talking to one guy, and he unfortunately, he's gone through the worst that, investment can take you through. And he kept saying, you can do due diligence, but at the end of the day, there was just something that someone didn't spot as a red flag, and it messed you up. And he kept saying, he bought something in Kilimani. He had a lawyer. The lawyer did the due diligence and all that. But when the project was over, he comes to notice this title has 4 other people. So how do you reduce such risks?
That is quite unfortunate. But sometimes, even I as a professional, sometimes there's some things that if a parcel of land has some history, then you should go back and study the history, because this land came from person X before it got to the developer. Or if it was inherited, then there's that history behind the property. If you do a proper due diligence, you can unearth. Of course, there's some things that are beyond you. They'll get you down the road. And I think the only way to deal with such an event is to see how now to mitigate the situation. How do you still cover your client or an investor in such an eventuality? But sometimes, unfortunately, the land some registries have issues. So and that is why the government is going through the process of digitizing the registry, the process of now converting the old titles to a new regime. It's an ongoing process. So something might have gone amiss, and even the owner might not know. Yes. I think I've had quite a number of experiences where you have a title deed, you're the only one with the title deed, but then when you go to lands, there's another person with a similar title deed, and it just becomes an issue. But such scenarios or such events are very few. They're not so rampant. But you can only do as much as an advocate, because there are fraudsters out there. You can't guarantee that this is 100% proof. But if you do proper due diligence, at least you have 95% you're on the right track.
Okay. And so someone might have done proper due diligence, and it's good you have been in the real estate or just the conveyancing space. So what is the process after that? So, okay, I've done due diligence, I've seen this is proper. So what next?
The next thing, I think it's also important to make an effort and visit, if you're buying land, visit the land. Confirm that indeed this land exists, because I think now that you're speaking to the diaspora community, I think I used to serve diasporans at a point, a circle of diasporans. So I know they're usually very skeptical when investing back home, because some stories to the ground, it's air. It's important to sense development is on the ground. Once you advocate to guide, as human beings, we like through the process, because when now, I think once, then they can guide you the process for representing you. They've already, if you are buying property, then you've already engaged us for the due diligence documentation. Martha has already convinced you to buy an apartment. So the next thing, if you have an advocate, the advocate usually requests for the due diligence documents. We send them documentation. And I think it's important to mention that if you're buying an apartment, it's important for the advocate to request for approved plans, name approvals, if it's an apartment by your advocate, where the approvals have not been properly because so you can't say I had gotten this, so that has been done. Comes to you that now we can go and we can proceed. Then you get into an agreement. So the developer's lawyer or the seller's lawyer will share with you the sale agreement. What terms are in the sale agreement? How much deposit are you supposed to pay? And after how long, or what mode of payment will you take when settling the balance of the purchase price? So I think the next step, once you have confirmed everything is in order, and the sale agreement has terms and conditions that have been drafted by an advocate. So I know back to my point, you'll do it yourself. Of course, I can guarantee you that the agreements that we do at Sevo are well balanced. So we ensure that the terms are not biased to disadvantage any investor. So that also, even if you don't have an advocate, your interests are still secured in the process. But for your own comfort, through the process, let them sit down with you, go through the sale agreement, understand what this project is all about, understand the consequences of defaulting, understand what your obligations are, understand how the development itself is structured. Because you don't want to buy into a development and then you want to put up a bar in the apartment. Yet it was very clear this is a residential development, or this is a commercial development. So I think those are the things that your advocate will pick up and tell you this is how to go about it.
Okay. And so what are the documents that you just require as both for residents and non-residents?
Okay. I think, that's a very important question. When you are purchasing property in Kenya, if you're a Kenyan, then you will need to have a valid Kenyan passport, unless you have dual citizenship. right now. The Constitution appreciates dual citizenship. So the identification documents that are recognized in Kenya is an ID, a valid ID, Kenyan ID, or a passport that is valid. You need to have a personal identification number with KRA. I know that is a big challenge to diasporans because some went to the diaspora many years ago and they don't have PIN numbers. But it is important for you to have a PIN number because without a PIN number, then the property cannot be transferred to you. So you need to have a PIN number. If you're a foreigner, you can make an application and you can you'll be given a PIN number. Anyone can have a PIN number. So the other thing, of course, we'll need from you is copies of your passport, photographs, and we'll need your email, we'll need your postal address, and I think with that information, we'll be good to go. Some people want, they're comfortable if their brother is transacting for them, maybe back here. In such situations, then we'll need you to have a power of attorney registered so that the person can transact for you. Because we've had situations that maybe your mom who lives in the US or in the UK is buying property and they send their daughter to sign agreements. Yeah. So legally, you can only sign on behalf of someone if you have the power of attorney for that person to engage on your behalf. It's not just, Martha, go and meet Ken and sign this agreement on your behalf.
Yes. And so there are very many people who come and we're very grateful to have people in the diaspora, but there are very many people who would prefer to have the sale agreement under someone, and then after the property, is complete and they're doing the transfer, it's transferred to their name. Is that possible?
It is possible as long as you make it very clear from the word go. And my only wish is the person you're engaging keeps their word, because they can insist that there was no such arrangement, and they can demand that the lease is transferred to their name, the property is transferred into their name. So yes, it is possible to assign the sublease at the end of the transaction to another person's name. It is possible.
Okay. Is it a protection that you can offer in terms of giving a clause in the agreement to just state that this will be transferred upon,
Yes, there's already a clause in the agreement that says the person who is buying can assign it to anyone as long as they give us notice.
Okay.
And you can only do that once you have cleared with Sevo, not in the middle of the transaction. If you do it in the middle of the transaction, then whatever dues are due to Sevo, you have to clear with them before the property is assigned to someone. But I think we've had instances where guys want us to amend that clause to be very specific, that this property will be transferred to company X at the end of the day, or it will be transferred to person Y.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Are there any restrictions for non-residents? So can a non-resident own anything in Kenya?
That's a very good question. I think the Constitution of Kenya is very clear on ownership of land, because land is very emotive. So we have different kinds of property. We have freeholds, and we have leaseholds. So in Kenya, foreigners can only own leaseholds, which is a term of 99 years. Some leaseholds, of course, are below the term of 99 years, but the Constitution is very clear that a foreigner can only own land or any property or any real property for a maximum term of 99 years. Okay. Yes, which is renewable automatically at the end of the 99 years. Okay. So yes, to answer your question, foreigners can own, but there's a restriction to the type of property that they can own. Okay. Yes.
So if you look at a company like Sevo, I think we've really tried to just offer comfort in the sense that we offer all services, and by this I mean if you are interested in purchasing our property, we would advise you to have a lawyer, but it's not a necessity. It's not something that you must have for you to be able to access, because we have, of course, we have market partners who will do end-to-end. So from the agreement for sale to stamping to the registration. So how do you protect this person who does not have a lawyer or an advocate to represent them? Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, the agreement that we have drafted is well balanced to protect the investors well. But what we've done is, as we engage through the process, we are always ready to furnish you with any document to make you comfortable. So we usually send you due diligence documents upon request. There are quite a number, but I'm happy that most of your investors are very well exposed, so they will ask for these documents and we'll send them out. So that is one way of protecting them, just to ensure that, to confirm to them that this project that we are engaging you in, we have all the requisite approvals, the title deed is genuine, and if there's an issue on anything, we disclose it from the word go. So we don't have surprises in the middle of the transaction.
Yes. So thank you. Before even we go further, I can see very many comments are coming on our social media handles. We're live on all our social media handles at sevo.ke. On YouTube, sorry, I can see, let me just see. I can see one of our investors, I can see Koi, she said tuned in. I can see one of our investors, Hope Shume, she's saying Hope here. Thank you so much, Hope. I can see Clarence is saying on fire. Clarence is one of our investors. I can see Donna is saying awesome, nice to see you, Ken.
Nice
I can see Myers, he's saying hello from the UK. Thank you so much, Myers. See, Irene Vital was really looking forward to this. Thank you, Ken and Martha. I can see Mary Acherish saying our lawyer.
Yes, say hi back.
Yeah, I can see Anne Jugi, she's saying great resource. Thank you, Martha and Ken. Anne is one of our investors as well. I can see Igal, she's saying tuned in. I can see Gamlail Kamau, awesome, thanks a lot, tuned in. I can see Talent, I'm watching from Scotland. Thank you so much, Talent. In Facebook, of course, we're live on Facebook. I can see Angie, she's saying on fire. Thank you so much, Angie. I can see Emma, sorry. Happy to see my colleague in the profession. Hi, Ken. You don't. I can see Titin, so Marion, sorry. On fire. I see Shiro Kimani. How long does it take to do the land search as well as the company searches? Maybe that's a question to you, Ken.
I think for the land search, at the moment, if you're lucky, you can get it in a day. If the property you're dealing with has been digitized, so you can get the search in a day. But sometimes it could take a day to 7 days, to even 14 days sometimes, because of the inefficiencies at some of the registries. So it takes a longer duration of time to get the searches through. But it should not take a very long duration of time. Yeah. For the survey maps, it's automatic. Okay. I think if the property is okay, and you just walk to the survey of Kenya and give them a copy of the title deed, you'll go back with it home. Okay. Yeah, so that is very easy. But for the searches, it's a little bit. It takes a little bit of time because there's sometimes the land registry have to do some verification before they can give you the search.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So looking at just what we offer, maybe here at Sevo, we focus on multi-dwelling. So where we have a number of apartments with different investors. So there's a mother title, and then now there's the ownership document for each unit. So maybe you can just take us through that.
Okay. So the model that Sevo has is exactly what you've mentioned, and the ownership is for most multi-dwelling developments in Kenya is through subleases. So the mother title, like you've mentioned, is the property where the development has been erected. So that is the mother title. Then the apartment owners will be given subleases, because we cannot divide the mother title and give it to everyone. So the apartment owners or the investors for our sake will be given subleases. Yes. And the sublease is as good as a title deed. You know, sometimes we get challenges explaining to investors and even our clients that this booklet that is titled a sublease is as good as a title deed. they tend to, some of them insist, I want my title deed, you know, written up their title deed. Yes.
Yeah.
So we try and as much as we can to explain to them, it's as good as any other title deed. You can go with it to the bank and you'll get a loan.
So you can use it as collateral.
You can use it as collateral any day. You can, when you sell, that is the title deed that you'll be selling. That is what you'll transfer to the next person that will buy your apartment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, there are other forms of ownership when it comes to multi-dwelling. We call them sectional property. So when you check that, when a developer chooses to use that model, then they'll be given sectional title deeds, which is a title deed. You'll just be issued with a title deed. You will not have subleases. You'll have title deeds. Okay. Yes.
And they will also work the same.
And they'll work the same way. There's nothing special by having a title deed here, and there's nothing special if I come with a sublease.
Sublease or a
Yes.
sectional. Okay. Okay. I can see another question on Facebook. What are the costs for the searches?
I think 2 years ago, the President of the Republic of Kenya waived the search fees. So ideally, it should be free. It should be free. A search should be free. But at the registry, you might be charged 500 bob. The statutory cost was 500 bob. So, you know, the president pronounced that, but I'm not sure if it's been effected to the latter, but it should be free.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But
so the only cost that you're incurring is the lawyer. So if you're using an advocate, now the services for the advocate.
Yes, the services for the advocates have to be paid for. And if you're applying it online, there's the convenience fee. So you'll pay some minimal amount of money, you know, because the system has to be paid for. So there's a convenience fee, yes, that is payable. But the minimum is just 500 bob.
Okay, okay. So the search, you can actually carry it out by yourself?
Yes, you can actually carry it out by yourself, like I've mentioned. But you might not interpret it yourself. You need an advocate to interpret it for you. Yes.
Okay, okay. So thank you so much. Please keep your comments coming. Let's know what questions do you have for Ken. He'll be able to, answer all your questions. I can see on YouTube, talk about leasehold and freehold. Where do you get a freehold or a leasehold?
Okay, that's a good question. I hope I'll answer it in the simplest terms possible. So a freehold property is one that doesn't have a term, does not have terms and conditions. It's you'll mostly find leaseholds in areas where not within municipalities. You know, you'll find leaseholds in areas like maybe Kiambu, you know, agricultural areas. Most of that land is under freehold. So there are no terms and conditions. For leaseholds, the terms and conditions. So a leasehold is just like, the government owns all land in Kenya. So the land is given to you on specific terms. So basically the government has rented you land. So if you have a title deed that reads a leasehold, then you have some terms and conditions that you have to abide by between you and the county government or between you and the government. So some of these terms are maybe you pay rent of 500 shillings per year. So you are only supposed to erect residential units on that particular land. You cannot put an industry without the consent of the owner. So basically, for freehold, you have no terms and conditions. For a leasehold, then the leasehold property has specific terms and conditions which you are supposed to adhere to as the tenant to the government. Yes.
And even talking about, freehold and leasehold, like here in Sevo, we do leasehold. So for you to get a sublease. And what are the costs? What are the cost implications on an annual, basis that you as an investor would incur?
On a leasehold, I think first of all on the mother title, because like I've highlighted, a leasehold comes with the terms and conditions. So the government can say rent on this mother title is 100,000 per year, because the rent varies depending on where the property is situated. If your property is in town, your rent is automatically, you'll be paying a higher amount of rent to the government. If it's on this side, let's say of Kiambu or Kajiado, Kitengela, the rent is a little bit lower. So if you own a property on such a development, like our investors, I think Sevo has made it easy for you. You only pay them some service charge. So it's for them to calculate and know how, from that service charge, how much will we deduct to pay rent to the government. Yes, so you don't have a direct obligation as a sublease owner, because you are paying some money to the management company, and the management company has the obligation to ensure that the rent on that mother title has been paid. It is supposed to ensure that other amenities have been paid for, like water, electricity, which is shared in the common areas, not in your house. Yeah. So as an owner of an apartment in that setting, then you the management company handles that for you. Okay. Yes.
And then in terms of when you talk of ownership, K.R.E visits you a lot more, and so there's usually that 10% that I think people are not usually very aware if you're earning rent from a property, and I think that's something that you'd want, especially for people who are looking into long-term investment. So you're buying a unit, say every year, it will catch up. So what is your take on that?
So I think you have to be a law-abiding citizen, so you need to pay Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So if you are a landlord, if you have an apartment at Sevo and you've rented it out, then you need to be filing your returns as a landlord, and the law, K.R.E requires you to pay 10% on the net rent that you get. So after you've deducted your expenses, if you remain with 15,000, then you pay 1,500 per month. And you need to ensure that you pay that every month, because if you don't, then penalties will follow you. And I can guarantee you, it's just a matter of time. I think K.R.E has been very aggressive in getting information from landlords, from their tenants. You know, they're very, very proactive nowadays. So it's just for you to be on the safe side, ensure that you pay your tax on time.
Okay. Yeah. I think I can see more comments coming in. Please feel free to share your questions. Ken is happy to answer. On YouTube, I can see Fred Chege is saying, watching from from UK. Thank you, Fred. I can see Isaac Kilemi saying, I've already done that question. I can see Stephen Dumu. I'm tuned in from Scotland. Thank you, Martha, for your continued support. Thank you so much, Stephen. I can see a number of people have also joined us on Instagram. Please feel free to do share your questions and your experiences. And maybe can, as a lawyer, I think we wouldn't want to ignore the ugly situation that has been happening in Kenya. And unfortunately, very many of diaspora clients have burnt their fingers, because they've not been able to come to the country, and so they buy through other people or just maybe buy online. Then wakikuja hapa, it's a scam. So what's your take on that?
I think I'd mentioned it earlier. It's important for you to, if you have a trusted person, then you can rely on them to make these investments for you. But it's prudent for you to make an effort to ensure that at least get to know what you're buying. If you have an opportunity to come, if you're visiting, ensure that you come and visit and ensure that whatever you're buying exists. But of course, if for diasporans, for me, the only thing I can encourage them to do is if you don't trust anyone, because I think I used to have a client in the US who used to buy property through his relatives, and when he came here, he was conned by his brothers and sisters. So if you can't trust anyone, then it's always good for you to use an advocate reliable advocates. I'm not saying we are also saints. I think some people have also had very bad experiences with some advocates, unfortunately. But if you have a trusted advocate that you can use to invest back home, then use them. I think use them to buy property directly in your name, because nothing stops you from still buying this property in your name. If you have a trusted advocate, they can go on the ground, visit these developments that you're talking about. And as a law firm, we've done it before. And it's worked out okay. I think I have quite a number of clients whom I hold titles in my safe because I bought them property 8-10 years ago, and they've never come. Yes. We've managed to get them property managers who manage the properties for them, and they get rent, they pay their taxes, their returns are up to date. So it's a decision that you have to make. Do you want to use your relatives? If you have relatives, you're blessed with good relatives who can invest it for you, well and good. But I always encourage them to just get proper advocates to do so. And the reason why I'm saying use a professional like an advocate is because if I become rogue, you can report me to the Law Society of Kenya. They have all my documentation. My license will be revoked. I'll be summoned to the disciplinary committee. You know, there's a process that they can use to ensure that your property is still recovered at the end of the day. But if your brother now defrauds you, you just end up in your home and deal with the disputes from that perspective.
And with everything that's happening in the ministry, from digitizing and just trying to sort out the land issues, do you think by any chance it could help in these shenanigans that we're having on land, riparian land, building on land that was government land, or a road, or just having very many people on one title deed? Would that help?
I think so. I think it will. The government is really doing the best it can to ensure that we have proper titling systems. And I think recently on 31st of last year, December, the CS gazetted new titles, trying to convert them into the new system. Yes. I think there was a lot of misinformation. The government is cancelling land, you might lose your land. But what the government is doing is trying to digitize, is trying to convert the various different types of title deeds that we used to have into one. So it's like they're trying to come up with a new record from scratch. Okay. So I think it's just a matter of time, and all this will be something of the past.
Yes. Okay. I can see more comments coming in. Fred is saying, if you don't have a title deed on a plot, do they charge you land rate?
Now, we have land rates and we have rent. So rent, like I've explained earlier, is if you have a leasehold. So if you have a leasehold property and there's rent applicable, then you pay the rent either to the county government, if the landlord, the owner of the property is the county government, or you pay to the government if the leasehold is from the government. So you pay rent. Then we have rates. Rates is payable to the county government only. And the county government collects rates if you have a title deed or not, as long as you have land. If that land has a title deed or not, the county government requires all the residents to pay rates, especially within the upmarket municipalities. Rates are applicable. So the county governments will apportion rates depending on the size of your property, and you're supposed to pay. And sometimes people ask questions, why am I paying rates? And the rates are basically to ensure that the amenities that you enjoy within the county government, like Nairobi, the city council, we have the fire engines that needs to run. We have water, you'll say maybe you don't get water, but the roads, garbage.
So everything that you're enjoying in the county.
Yes, so for everything that you're enjoying in the county comes from the rates. Okay. So rates, it's applicable. If you own the property, if you have the title deed or not.
Okay, yes. Okay. And maybe you just want to talk about the leasehold. So if you look at, you can get a piece of land that is not 99 years. So what happens when we have already transferred the properties to the investors and now we need to have an extension?
Yeah, sometimes the term of the lease has already been exhausted.
Or we are dead and now the time has come.
Yeah, so what will happen is that you'll just apply to the government to extend your lease or to renew your lease.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's extension and there's lease. So renewal.
Renewal.
So extension is if you think the term is coming to an end and maybe you want to extend it for a particular number of years. Renewal is the term is coming to an end. Like if you have land that someone bought in 1920s and the term was for 99 years. Yes. Or 1930s, the term is actually 1930s, the term is coming to an end. Yes. Then you apply for a renewal of the lease. Yes.
And what will guarantee you to get a renewal or an extension?
It should be automatic unless the government feels you breach the terms of the lease. Okay. Then the government can take it back. But the land, you are the first owner to get the lease renewed in your favor.
Okay.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. I can see Mercy Kiai, she's saying great information. Thank you so much, Mercy, for joining us. I can see Koi Karuga, she's just saying, just a clarification on the monthly rental income. It's 10% on the gross rent.
Okay.
Yes, 10%
on the gross rent. Okay, good.
I can see Bella saying thank you. I can see Koi Karuga, she's saying the rent is paid to KRA every 20th day of the month and accompanied by an online return on iTax. It is a final tax, therefore it's not subject to further tax such as income tax. She just elaborating. You have something to add on that?
That is my wife. She's a tax advisor, so I think she's just hi love. I think she's tuned in. She's following. So she's a tax expert. So whatever she says about tax,
that's it.
Is the real truth.
Yeah, I can see Catherine Kairu. Catherine Kairu is one of our investors connecting from
Great Britain.
Ushamba, Great Britain. I can see Jen by Ken. Can you mention something about the new title LR numbers? Is it countrywide? So there are a number of questions. So maybe I can just start. Is it countrywide?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Okay. That is what I'd mentioned earlier. So maybe just to give us a brief history so that everyone understands and there's no misconception. You know, the land regimes in Kenya were quite a number. We had, this might be a little bit confusing, but we had the Registered Documents Act. So when the foreigners came, they tried to bring in systems. So they started with the Registered Documents Act, in that if they could just measure 10 acres here for you and then they give you a document. So that document was registered under the Registration of Documents Act. And then they give you, that will be your kind of title deed. But then it kept on evolving. There was the Queen's, when the Queen of England came to, when it was reigning, then the system also changed. Then we had the Government Lands Act. After the Government Lands Act, there came another regime of registration called Registered Titles Act. Then the guys at course had the Land Titles Act. So the regimes were quite a number. And then we had, I think after independence, the government was also trying to unify the system of registration of title deeds, and there was the registered titles, there was the RLA, Registered Lands Act. That was the latest regime that we were using. So there were quite a number of title deeds. I think if you own property, sometimes you get this big title deed, which is very big. Yeah. Sometimes you get an A4 size title deed. Sometimes you get a booklet. So they're quite, they are quite different. So what the government is trying to do right now, in 2012, they now passed a law called the Land Act of 2012 and the Land Registration Act of 2012. So the government decided to have a unified system of land registration. So what the CS did and what she is doing right now is they have now started actualizing what the provision of the Land Registration Act and the Land Act, which is conversion of all those many regimes into one system of registration. So that is what the conversion is all about. So they're removing the LR numbers. I think what has been circulating around the social media and the newspaper is they're changing now the LR numbers into another regime of registration. So it's not happening everywhere.
Yes.
They've started with the Nairobi County. And within the Nairobi County, we have 147 or is it 74 blocks. So they have, I think what was gazetted was just 23 blocks. So many people have been saying, you know, I can't see my title deed. There's panic all over. So it's a continuous process. So they've started with the 23 blocks, and that is what was published in the Gazette notice. Once I think they'll be doing it in batches. But eventually it will affect the whole country.
Okay. Oh, I think you've even answered her second question. She was asking what about properties not listed in the Gazette? Of course, they're doing it in batches.
It will happen.
Okay, so let me go to Facebook. Thank you so much. I can see very many comments. Let's just try and work with I can see Faith Evans. She's asking, what kind of legal action or process does one take when they're developing or investing on family land? And I think this ancestral land is usually just, you know.
Okay, if they're developing as individuals, they're buying into an institution.
They're developing as individuals. Developing
family land.
Yes.
I think, first of all, because family, land is very emotive. So it should be very clear who owns this property. Is it a family, or is it me? I inherited it from my dad, so I've decided to put up this development. I think the best, for me, my advice has always been, if you decide to invest as a family on family land, then incorporate a company and make it independent from you as individuals. Because legally, a company is independent from you. Your company is not you. You and your company are different. So as a family, incorporate a company, then use it as your investment vehicle. Use it to invest in whatever projects you want to invest on your family land, right? So that in case tomorrow we don't see eye to eye, it does not affect the investment. You understand? Yes, so that is the legal advice I can give that person.
Thank you so much. I can see Obiria. Sorry, I've struggled to say the first name. Obiria, he's asking how much does your project cost? Thank you so much, Obiria. Maybe we'll be able to share more information on the same, but I can just give you a brief through of what we are currently doing. We are doing our 6th project in Ngong Road, a place called Wanye near Junction Mall. Our projects range between 3 million from 2 million up to 3 million. So we have studios, junior 1 bedrooms, and 1 bedrooms. I would advise you to, of course, visit our website at sevo.ke. And all our social media handles, you'll be able to see what we've done. Of course, as we talk about due diligence, this is it. So please, if you have time, please do come to site. We're very flexible in our times. If you're not in the country, send someone, or we can do an actual WhatsApp call, or I think right now technology has really shown us that even when you're in the diaspora, we can still contact each other and you're able to see the physical buildings. But what we're currently selling in Ngong Road, one of our IT people will be able to share more information, and of course my number will also be shared on the screen, so you can definitely contact me at any time. That will be also my WhatsApp number, and I'll be able to take you through the investment journey. I can say Brendan is asking, does Sevo as property manager pay taxes for an investor on rent collected? Should an investor request them to do so?
Sorry?
Does Sevo as property manager pay taxes for an investor on rent collected, or should an investor on rent collected, should an investor request them to do so?
Okay, I wouldn't answer that because I don't know how the management, how Sevo manages that, but I think
I can answer that after you.
You can answer that, but I think I'm sure if you engage them to do it for you, they can do it. But I think because it's tax, then you'll want someone who does your taxes to do it for you. I think it's wiser that.
Yes. For us, of course, we try to make it flexible, but once we've transferred the unit to you, then everything that comes with it is on you. We'll advise you on what to do. We'll advise you that, you know, it's time to pay your taxes and all that, but that is done by the investor. The only thing that we sort are the land rates. So we collect service charge. So because we have two sides of management, yeah. So there's the property management for the common areas, yeah. So these are the shared commodities, the everything, common area, flowers. If we have a pool, if we have the lifts, so that is sorted by service charge, and that is under property management that Sevo does for all our buildings. Then there is the management for your individual unit. You as an investor, we offer property management. And what does this do? This caters for you getting a tenant, we collecting your rent and remitting it to your account. That is all we do. So if you have finished paying and you have started occupation of the apartment, so either you're living in the apartment, if you're living in the apartment, you pay a service charge. So it depends with the location and the amenities in that project. It ranges between about 1,000 to 1,500. So service charge caters for the land rates. Zile Ken was talking about. But the taxes, if you're not living in the apartment, so you're renting this out, or you need to pay taxes for that unit, as long as we've transferred the unit to you, that goes to you. You do your taxes. But we will inform you, we'll advise you when any cost comes up, or you know there are payments that you need to do that you haven't done, but you do it yourself. Of course, even we can do it for you, but looking at the numbers, of course, we've been in existence for quite some time. So if you look at the number of investors that we have, if we say we do, what will differentiate that we're doing for you and not doing for other investors? It's a number thing, and of course, we wouldn't want to mess with your taxes. So advisably, if you have someone, and of course, even our lawyers can sort you, can help you in anything to do with the tax. Bibi ni finance.
I think on issues of tax, if we also have a tax department, and we'll be happy to sort you out. If you want any issue on tax, I think Martha will share my contacts, and then you just drop me an email, and we'll sort you out.
Yes. Even with that, I think there's a question that has not been asked, and it's always asked. If you're a foreigner and you don't have a KRA PIN, Mark and Partners will assist you in processing the KRA PIN. I think we've had a number of investors who've come in, they didn't have a KRA PIN, and we sort you out. It doesn't take that much. And of course, even if you're in the diaspora, it still can be done. Yes, from here.
Yeah, very fast.
Yes. I see Brennan saying, thank you very much. That answers my question. Thank you so much, Brennan. Back to YouTube, I can see Catherine Hannah, she's asking, what about the new bill that allows apartment owners to own titles? That's Sectional Properties Act. Yeah? So you can just keep that as I read the rest of the comments. I can see Emily Nchara. Emily Nchara is one of our directors, together with Leonard Ncharo. I can see Emily Nchara, she's saying, well done, Ken, our lawyer, and lovely Martha. Thank you so much, Emily, for tuning in. I can see Clarence, very conscious. Delivery Ken, bravo, Martha, keep up the information dissemination. Thank you so much. I'm hoping this can, just give you a brighter light when you're making a decision to invest, especially if you're in the diaspora, if you're making a decision to invest back home, or you're just looking for information to understand. You might not be investing today, but it might help you in the near future. I can see Isaac is asking, is it possible to buy an apartment on freehold? So there are two questions, maybe you can answer that. Hannah is asking about the Sectional Properties Act that was passed the other day, and on freehold.
Yeah, you can own an apartment on freehold, and it's possible, yes. The answer is a plain yes, you can do that. And I'll answer that question as I explained what sectional property is all about. The new bill that enabled apartment owners to have title deeds is called the Sectional Properties Act. And it's been in existence more than 30 years, actually. But what happened, it was just now amended, and it's they've revised it. Yeah. So the act allows individuals to have title deeds of their property. I think in Kenya, few developers have tried that. That is NSSF. There are developments in Hazina and Nyayo Estate in Nairobi. The apartment owners have title deeds, which are ideally freeholds.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so just to answer that, sectional property gives you the freehold. Yes. But I think there were challenges with the previous act, and that is why it was not attractive to developers, because they were issues with it. But I think the new act now will make it easier, but it's not mandatory for a developer to, to go through that route. If Sevo is comfortable with the subleases, and that is the model that they've taken, then that is the model that they're going to take. Because it's not every development that can use sectional property. There's a threshold in the act. Yeah. So the threshold is very clear that the property has to be one, either freehold or a leasehold, but with a minimum term of 21 years residue. Yeah. So it's not just a blanket application everywhere. So the fact that we are doing subleases, an investor cannot demand us to give them a sectional title. That has to be very clear. Yes. Yeah, so our model is the sublease way, and we have legal justification for that at the moment. Maybe future projects, if Sevo decides to engage, to explore that route, but it's a new thing. I don't think we'll do it in the immediate future.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So thank you so much, Ken. I think before you do your final words, let me just read the final comments that are coming in. You can see Diana Mita on YouTube. She's saying very informative. Thank you, Ken and Martha. Thank you so much, Diana, for tuning in. Our team has sent out Ken's number. So if you'd like to get in touch with Ken, the number is there, 0725 848 65.
Yes, correct.
And then you can get him, of course, on email, ken@markadvocates.com. And on any information to do with Sevo, of course, our project and what we're currently selling and what we have in the market, you can reach me on 0727 648 552. Our team will be sending the number right there. My email address is martha@sevo.ke. Feel free to share your comments on all these. And, if you have further questions, we'll be happy to engage with you on a personal level. Of course, you can get to us through our social media handles at sevo.ke, on our website, sevo.ke. And before we close, maybe you can say a few words to your wife. Usifurahishe umati kama bibi anaona. To your wife and to everyone who's joined us.
Of course, thank you, love, for tuning in and of course just to thank all the Sevorites out there, the investors, for giving us an opportunity to serve you. You've been an asset to us as a business, and we're excited to continue serving you. And I think this year we will be serving you more in new exciting projects. And we are available. I think those of you who always ask us if we can have a WhatsApp, we are always available. Our team is very experienced and reliable. So feel free to engage us, not only on Sevo matters. I think diasporans have plenty of legal issues that need to be addressed. So feel free to engage us at any time, and we'll be happy to to guide you on whatever issues you have. So thank you so much, Martha, also for inviting me and Sevo as an organization, for giving us this opportunity to serve you as your legal advisors. And thank you for inviting me on this lovely session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken, for joining us. And thank you for taking time to tune in. We've had so many people sharing comments. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two. I hope we've been able to impact your financial independence journey. And yes, please join the FIRE tribe, Financial Independence, Retire Early. Thank you.